Welcome back, everyone. It's Stray Faye here with another episode of Cafe Enchante. Alright, in the last episode, we had a lot of romantic moments with Kaoru Rindo. And yeah, it was actually kind of nice. It's like a lot more romantically charged, and although the scenes did get interrupted, of course they do. After going on a few dates with Mr. Rindo, however, it all starts to fall to pieces. He falls victim to a hex brought about by his non-human sister, I guess, who's going on a rampage. Mikado must have done something that, like, just set her loose. And yeah, we had to do the difficult decision of saving his life. However, to do so, we had to cast aside his humanity, which is his identity. So we had to do it. We had to do it, or else we wouldn't have gotten to this far in the route. So now we're on the final chapter of Kaoru Rindo. I want to see how this all goes. I want to see, what does he look like? He's alive, I'm guessing. They said he's gonna be a non-human now. Alrighty. He's awake. Where am I? My body feels achy, as if I just recovered from a fever. My head is spinning. I look around in a daze. This place looks like that empty room on the second floor of Enchante. Ah, that's right. After I went to the GPM headquarters, I was attacked by a non-human. After that, everyone saved me, and I looked next to me and noticed Kotone sleeping with her head on the side of the bed. She took care of me the whole time. I let out a smile, seeing her quietly breathing in her sleep. I slowly reached my hand out to pat her on the head when... Ugh! A sharp pain runs through me. What? My body. Wait. "5 minutes later, I force myself down the stairs as I fight the pain and the anxiety coursing through me. Morning should come soon, so no one should be here. Wait. What is the demon lord doing at the counter? Misa. Finally awake, Rindo. You're looking pretty good these days. Is he serious? Miser's eyes say otherwise. I know you must be in some pain, but let me brew you some coffee. Take a seat. I'll tell you everything we know and what happened while you were sleeping. On second thought, not sure you can drink coffee in that form of yours. Miser goes into detail over what happened while I was sleeping. Something about being hexed so badly that it nearly killed me. Then Mikado gave our dear girl a vial of something called metaplasia. She struggled, trying to determine if she should turn me into a non-human. And at the very end, Kotone administered the medicine to me. This all seems so far-fetched that I can't seem to believe what he's saying. Odd, considering it's supposed to be something that happened to me. By the way, the patrons here have been scoping out the GPM headquarters, but the fact that it doesn't look any different is very unusual. The only thing they discovered was that a whole bunch of GPM employees haven't come to work recently. Of course, it's impossible that they're all out sick or on vacation. There are a lot of employees working there, but at least 10 or so haven't shown up to work. Someone did something to them. From what we know, it's probably... No need to say more. No matter how many years have gone by, I can never forget Shizuku's voice. The voice I heard when I was attacked. The voice I can't get out of my mind. Seems like Mikado knew about my situation. It doesn't take a genius to figure out who's behind all this. This is my responsibility for not doing what I should have done 7 years ago. I'll end this myself. Like that? Ugh. You only jabbed me. But that was more than enough to make my body falter. I crumpled down to my knees. My strength is fleeting. I can't move. It's almost like I'm in someone else's body. Must have fallen to my knees pretty loudly. I hear footsteps running down the stairs. Oh, Kotone? Is Kotone gonna see him? I didn't know. I fell asleep. I wake up from a loud thud and look around to find Mr. Rindo missing. Which means he must have left the room. I hurriedly run down the stairs. Mr. Rindo! I'm calling out his name as I run down the stairs, expecting him to be in the cafe. I gasp for air. My eyes focus in on a figure standing in front of me. Oh, starts off. Oh, okay. There's a weird, like, skelly arm going on. I'm not sure what I think about this design. I mean, it kind of fits. It's like they said the black was like taking over his body, but I guess it's kind of like contained to one side of him. At least he's not like a big old giant shadow monster, like what his sister turned into. It looks like half demon too. It has like a horn on one side of his head. It's Mr. Rindo, but not the Mr. Rindo I know. No, it is Mr. Rindo. But the left side of his body and his right hand. I'm not sure what that slithering thing is. It's like a black film stuck to him. Is he like Venom? I mean, if it's moving around, it's gonna remind me of Venom. That thing covering him. It's squirming around as if it has a mind of its own. Almost sentient. His face is partially transformed into something almost demon-like. Sarah's also changed, like his face, to a brilliant white. Uh-oh. I don't know if he's looked in a mirror yet. He's gonna be very disillusioned. Very surprised. His quivering eyes lock onto mine. Mr. Rindo? I call out his name, unsure if he'll respond. He simply turns his eyes away. I have a third definition for Kaoru. Rindo, due to a hex, you own the boundary between life and death. The use of a drug known as the non-human facilitation drug, metaplasia, has extended his life at the exchange of turning into a non-human. Miser moves in front of Mr. Rindo. Rindo's having a hard time controlling himself. I think it's best he rest a bit longer. So do you mind preparing his bed? I'll take him upstairs after. Okay. I simply nod in response to Miser's command. Can't get a grasp on my emotions or thoughts together yet. I head back upstairs to get the bed ready. Alright, where are we at now? At the same day, amid Shinjuku's towering buildings, whose perspective is this, stands the GPM headquarters. It's late into the night, and some of the workers are planning to call it a day. The hallways are now empty. Oh god! Old man! Ah! Ah! Certain old man is running for his life. Fear struck and terrified. Run. 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 He's running as fast as he can. But his lack of physical prowess causes him to trip over his own foot. Then suddenly, the shadow that was hunting him swallows the lower half of his body. The man screams, knowing that his strength is vanishing. Why am I? Why is this happening to me? Oh no, is this Mikado? Is he going after, like, the upper brass? I'm gonna guess this is Mikado. Why? Are you stupid? You know damn well why this is happening. Isn't that right, Deputy Commissioner? It is. The Deputy Commissioner's eyes widen as he sees Mikado appear from the shadows. He's supposed to be his loyal subordinate. But for some reason, Mikado is attacking him. Okay, the GPM Commissioner. Akira Mikado! Why you? You win, great! I recommended you to the second R&D department! Ha! I appreciate that, truly. It led me to the truth, after all. Come here, Shizuku. Mikado beckons it to come closer. Oh. The man screams in fear seeing the beast. It's carnage. It does kind of like now I'm just like yeah, I'm just thinking of carnage now. Oh! I don't see why you're so scared. You know her very well. She's my dear Shizuku Rindo. She was known as a genius here at the GPM headquarters. Mikado endearingly calls the writhing creature Shizuku Mikado. Wait. I guess I meant to say Shizuku Rindo? They're not married. but his voice isn't heard as it's muffled by the band's screams. His fear-laden eyes stare blankly at the one called Shizuku. You monster! Don't come! Ah! He screams at the top of his lungs. But his screams don't travel far. A thick mucus-like shadow seeps out from Shizuku's body. In a matter of seconds, the shadow swallows the man whole. Monster, eh? If he means that as an insult, then he was a monster too. He mumbles something. Shizuku's body begins to tremble, and a frail and vaguely comprehensible voice is heard. Oh, you can talk. I give her a voice modulation. Ah, Kira. Ah! Yes, it's me. I'm right here. Thank goodness. I guess even a lowlife like him helped bring you one step closer to being a human again. Mikado gently cradles the creature's head like body part. Oh no, does she need to feed? Is that Mikado's solution? Have her eat till she turns back into a human? But she's gonna, like, regret so much, like, on the people she's eating. I wonder how many more I needed to make you human. Shay Suzuku, how about we drink some sweet cafe au lait together when you're human again? You and I, and Rindo, oh, and Kotone, the four of us, we can all smile and have fun together. Well, I doubt that ever happen. Brother Kaoru. I can only hope she made the same choice that we made. Shizuku's body shakes with Mikado's words. Is it because she's happy? Or is it because she's sad? Not even Mikado could determine what she was feeling with certainty. Back to Kotone's perspective. Oh no, Mikado lost it. It's been a day since Mr. Rindo came to. I go up to the room he's using with some tea and knock on the door. Mr. Rindo? Can I come in? Sure. Excuse me. I freeze on the spot. Can you not put on a shirt, dude? He's standing there, same as yesterday. Take a closer look. His upper torso is bare, and the non-human parts are clearly visible. It looked like he was wiping his body. I'm sorry. I'll come back later. Oh, would you just... Is he, like, giving himself, like, a sponge bath or something? Don't worry. And I know it's not going to be easy to get used to what you're seeing, but what you're seeing now is me in the flesh. There's no need to be surprised. Mr. Rindo's voice is calm. He's been resting in intervals since yesterday. And now, he's recovered to the point that we can have a casual conversation. His pale complexion seems to have gotten better compared to what it used to look like. But seeing him like this reminds me of the harsh reality. Mr. Rindo has transformed from a human to a non-human. And I am the one responsible. According to Miser, seems like Mr. Rindo's body hasn't adjusted to his non-human body yet. Which is why he's been lying down in bed most of the time. Should be obvious, but transforming into another body is probably mentally and physically taxing. Heh, what's with the stare? I hear from Miser that I'm looking pretty handsome now. Like, from Miser's standards, I guess. He's like, hey, you look like a demon. Hey, bro! Well... I know Mr. Rindo is trying to lighten the mood, but I can't get myself to smile right. I'm the one who should be trying to cheer him up. It would actually make me feel better if he just cursed me for what I've done. Stop with that look you're making. You saved my life. The call you made saved my life, and now I can talk with you like this again. I really appreciate it. You've done nothing wrong, so feel free to smile, okay? Your smile is like medicine to me, you know. Mr. Rindo goes on to gently pat me on the head. The texture of his newly formed hand is making me feel guilty. But Mr. Rindo's gentle caress feels almost as if he's slowly wiping away his sorrow. Okay. Still, I doubt I'm able to smile as brightly now. At the very least, I'll do what I can and try to put a smile on my face. Time seems to fly by. It's already been 3 days. Have they not? Oh no, it's been a lot of time has passed. They need to call Mikado. Thanks for the wait. Here's the juice for you, Il, and Ignis, here's your steak. They look at each other as I place her orders on the table. You look a lot better now. Really? I wasn't really aware. Yeah, well, you look like a ghost only a couple days ago. Well, I guess they're right. Even though Mr. Rindo was saved, the fact that I changed him into a non-human is still hanging over my head. I guess all that reassurance from Mr. Rindo helped me get back into shape again. Rindo's able to move around like he used to, so I guess all's well that ends well. Not that I'm worried, but if you need something, just ask, got it? Isn't that a textbook definition of being worried? Shut it! I'm not worried at all! Thanks. They're kind, as usual. Actually, everyone who comes here is kind at heart. They saved me whenever I needed to be. Oh, come to think of it, now that I finally have the capacity to look beyond myself, a certain thought comes back to mind. Are employees still going missing at the GPM? Asking the real questions here. I recall what Miser said. Back when Mr. Rindo was near death, Miser mentioned something about GPM employees not showing up to work. I'm pretty sure Mikado and Shizuku are involved in this one way or another. Miser and Il are still checking on the GPM, but I look at Il and notice he's shaking his head. It doesn't seem like anyone else has gone missing recently. Really? Why, yes. I haven't noticed anything unusual from them, though we do have to remember, they are the GPM. Who knows what they'll do to ensure their secrets are kept safe. We could just barge in, but then again, if we don't come up with anything, it'll make us look pretty bad. I recall what Mr. Rindo said before, as I see the two talking with each other. Shizuku Rindo attacked him. She's Mr. Rindo's younger sister, turned non-human and Mikado's love. After she transformed into a non-human 7 years ago, she's now with Mikado as his doll Ku. Actually, I kind of noticed the bracelets on her tail. Maybe those are like suppressors? Well, they're not on there now. Doesn't look like a cute little fox anymore. So far, it doesn't seem like Ku has moved at all recently. But how did she move in the first place? Thought whatever Mikado was giving her kept her immobilized. I think we already answered that question. Mikado's not immobilizing her anymore. Can't just ignore either Mr. Rindo's state or Mikado's, but I wonder if things will just settle as is. No, that's not possible. Something is bound to happen. I just know something will happen, but it's not like I can do anything now. I glance over at the clock as the anxiety builds within me. Oh! I better get lunch ready for Mr. Rindo. I decide to switch gears from thinking and head into the kitchen. I mean, there isn't much I can do as a human when the issue is related to non-humans. If so, I can focus on getting Mr. Rindo back in shape with my cooking and coffee brewing. I grab the soup I just made and head up the stairs. I hope Mr. Rindo likes it. I carefully climb the stairs to his room so I don't spill the soup. I wonder what I should talk about while he's eating. Find myself in front of his room before I could sort out my thoughts. Penis.
How are you feeling? Kotone is worried about you.
I hear a voice from beyond the door. Well, I guess I'm feeling better now. She has been keeping watch over me this whole time. Sounds like Canis is talking with Mr. Rindo. Their conversation continues as I ponder when I should step in. I decide to eavesdrop on their conversation, assuming that they would wrap it up shortly.
How are you feeling? Kotone is worried about you.
Well, I guess I'm feeling better now. She has been keeping watch over me this whole time.
I see. That is good to hear.
Mind you, I haven't rested like this since forever. I pretty much live to work, you know. I already let the GPM know, so I'm just going to cruise for a while.
Rindo.
Then again, I guess I do have something I need to do.
Shizuku.
Yeah. Looks like Mikado is radio silent now, but I bet something similar is going to happen again. Regardless of what their motives are, I need to stop them. Guess it's best I put this new body to good use. It still feels strange. It doesn't feel like my body is recovering. It's more like I replaced my body entirely. I suppose I'll get used to it sooner than later. I may not be as strong as you guys, but I'm probably a lot stronger than I used to be. Yeah, being a non-human ain't that bad.
Rindo, are you serious? Your time spent as a human is merely history now. The human in you is dead. You have been watching over humans and non-humans. It should not be so easy to accept your current state. You do not have to put on a front.
Heh. Come on, stop it.
I do not say this in jest. You can speak from the heart now that Kotone is not here. I understand the importance of portraying confidence. But hiding your true feelings deep inside for too long can do more harm than good. It is okay. What are your true feelings?
You know, you're right, Canis. It's not easy to accept what happened so easily. But I'm not really sure what else I can say. I guess I'm just confused. It's ironic this happened to me, considering what I've been saying to Karia and Kotone. After the incident Shizuku experienced, I kept reminding them how tragedy comes to human and non-human relationships. I figured maybe I could find happiness as a human with her, but now... Look at me. You know, I imagined what our future would look like before this happened. I thought about traveling with her, having a date somewhere out there instead of at home. Thought about going to Amasaki Island to see Ten, and possibly swinging by her parents' house to say hi. I thought about what I would say to introduce myself to her parents and try to find an excuse for how we got together. I went shopping one day and stopped by a jewelry store and found a matching pair of rings. But once I checked my wallet, I realized I wouldn't be able to buy them yet. Kept thinking about how it would look on Kotone, and then about going out with her again. I tried to refrain myself from imagining all these things since our relationship had only just begun. I seriously pictured and thought about all these things coming true one day. Look at me now. I can't wear a matching ring with a body like this. And what's worse, I can't even walk outside with her like this anymore. I really don't know why this has happened.
Cry if you would like. Embrace your emotions. There's nothing to worry about. You are in company of a fellow non-human.
I appreciate the offer, but when you're my age, you don't really cry anymore. Well... I guess if you don't mind me venting a bit. I didn't ask to become a non-human. Mikado was happy that he could be with Shizuku regardless of her non-human form. But I knew he was suffering by that smile of his the whole time. Kept working, trying to find a way to bring Shizuku back, to no avail. I know how much she's going to suffer if I stay with her like this. Oh. Hearing Mr. Rindo's candid and honest sentiments brought tears to my eyes. What have I done? I knew how he felt. His younger sister turned into a non-human. I saw Mikado and how he was suffering. I swooned from his kindness. He eased my soul with kind words. How much dumber can I be? I can't stop my tears. I want to stop crying. I don't have the right to be crying. Mr. Rindo said he won't cry. I try with all my might to not make a sound, but I can't hold back my tears. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Mr. Rindo. I know my apologetic words mean nothing. I can't turn back the clock. He isn't human anymore. Alright. going to Mr. Rindo's perspective. Oh man, that was heavy. Alright, now it's a beautiful afternoon. Karia and the patrons of Enchante are all gathered together at the cafe. Hey there. It's been a while since we've met like this. I've been using the room here as a recovery room of sorts. I come down to the ground floor. They're all staring at me in shock. Mr. Rindo, are you okay? I guess. Can't say I feel perfect, but I can move around all right. Heh, considering you nearly kicked the bucket, I'd say you're doing pretty damn well. Hahaha, you're right. And it's all because of our cute owner's loving care. Best you don't push yourself.
Yes, you do not look all that well. May I suggest you go back to sleep?
That's a bit too much sleep for me to handle. I have to consider Shizuku too, you know. But neither of our possible suspects have made a move recently. Just a thought, but there is a chance they're no longer at the GPM. Either they already got what they wanted, or they know you're alive after contacting Kotone. So they could have just ran. I see. The fact that their whereabouts are unknown isn't very reassuring. Miser must have noticed the look on my face. He tries to ease me with a smile. Well, we will continue searching for them. they're up to no good, we'll need to get a jump on them before they take action. Not to mention, we have our dear friend, Mr. Rindo, who'll go after them if we stop searching. With his sister involved, there's no way to stop him, so we might as well help him out. Liza. Stop it, will ya? We're not doing it for you. It's for our cute owner. You got that right. Well, thanks. Miser's doing his best to cheer me up. He's trying to let me know that I can rely on the patrons here without being so upfront about it.
We'll have Kari help today by having him go for his medical checkup and doing our search then.
I'll be tagging along, but don't expect any miracles, pal. Now that you mention it, you mind if I come along with you guys? Don't. Shut it. Stay put. That was relentless. But...
What are you going to say to your colleagues if they were to see you?
And if they saw you, they'd nab you and turn you into a test subject for their latest experiment. Experiment? They wouldn't do that to me. You've been one of them long enough to not even notice, but those guys are pretty damn shady. If they try to do something to us, we just beat them senseless and move on. But you can't do that. Ignis came from Bestia. The GPM sent men there many times before. Which is why Ignis probably knows well enough not to trust the GPM as a whole. So your job today is to lay low and stay put here with our dear owner. Miser and I will continue with our search and investigations.
Please take care of Kotone.
You just sit tight, got it? I got some steak left in the fridge, so you just munch on that while you wait. We'll contact you as soon as we get any new information. They all nod and look at me. I let out a chuckle, feeling bad and a bit embarrassed that they're all trying to take care of me. I hate that I've become a burden to them. But they're right. There isn't really much I can do right now. I can move around and the pain has somewhat subsided. But I'm still not used to this body. I'm still trying to control my strength and I'm so off balance that I've been having trouble climbing the stairs. The biggest problem is my appearance. I have to agree with them that it's best I don't expose myself to the public. Roger that. I'll just stay put here. So, where's our dear owner? Kotone's in the kitchen. Why? Oh, I haven't seen her at all since yesterday, so I was just a little worried. I thought you said she was taking good care of you. Sounds like she has enough of that. Did you say something to her recently? What? Not that I know of. What perfect timing. She suddenly peeks out from the kitchen. Kotone's staring at me. Yeah, looks oddly tense. I'm not sure if I should say something. She suddenly comes storming out of the kitchen and comes right up into my face. Mr. Rindo? Let's go out on a date. Oh boy. Okay, I wasn't expecting Kotone to make a move. Let's go out on a date. Hearing my words, the regulars of Enchante all erupt into utter chaos. I hurriedly go back up to my room to get myself prepared to step out. I know it's sudden, but Mr. Rindo asked me out on a date suddenly too, so this will make us even. To add, this is about as good a time as ever to ask him out. Especially after hearing his heart-wrenching words. I'm outside with Mr. Rindo. We're at... What is this place? We're at an amusement park. What? Why would you take him here? He's trying to keep low. Oh, he's... Okay, a hoodie. The perfect disguise. A theme park. Well, you know, most people go out on dates to places like these. But why now? Mind you, I'm not the best person to be out with. Mr. Rindo hasn't said anything to me on the way here, but now that he's here, he pulls the hood on Ignis's coat he borrowed deeply over his head. Is that belongs to Ignis? I never seen him wear it. At least I don't remember. Or is it tight around his waist? I don't even remember. Usually just wears the blue shirt. I knew he wasn't going to feel good outside, and yet I forced him out here. At the very least, the people here are having a good time and being merry. Maybe he can just pretend like his face is cosplay or something. People do that. Some sunshine will do them some good. None of the people seem to be paying any attention to us. Mr. Rindo? How about we hold hands? What? Here, like this. I reach out my hand out to him, to which Mr. Rindo nods and does the same. Then his hand stops. His hand is oddly shaped and can be seen from under his glove. Holding hands with a non-human. He slowly draws his extended arm away from me, but... Let's go! I gently grab his hand. I lead Mr. Rindo to a number of rides and attractions that wouldn't drag his hood off. Instead of hiding and avoiding the customers here, we moved with everyone and enjoyed our time together. Soon enough, Mr. Rindo slowly starts talking as if he's feeling more like himself. It's been forever since I came to a theme park like this. Forever? As in years? Yeah. The last I went was when I was in grade school, so... roughly 30 years? 30 years? I wasn't even born then. Huh, you're right. Isn't that something? We continue our conversation casually as we walk to the park. But then... Come on, let's go on that one! A young boy runs past us with his parents. That alone was enough to instill fear in Mr. Rindo's mind. A wave of guilt washes over me. Is Mr. Rindo going to have to live in fear like this every time he goes out for a simple walk? We stroll throughout the theme park until the sun starts setting. We take a seat on one of the benches after getting off our last ride. Doesn't take long for a conversation to stop as time slowly passes by. And soon the sun fully sets. The lights decorating the attractions slowly start to light up. Most of the people walking around us are still enjoying themselves. As for us, all we're doing is staring at the fountain in front of us. Huh. Night already. He lets out a sigh of relief. I look at Mr. Rindo, who is staring at the twinkling of the lights in the park. His eyes gleamed hopefully that he could hide his presence under the cover of darkness. I want to apologize to him. Seeing him like this is so painful that I'm willing to drop to the ground and cry to him in apology. Just gonna like do that bow, that severe bow of apology. You must have noticed what I'm thinking. So, why ask me out on a date today? Mr. Rindo calmly asked me from his side of the bench. I try my best to answer while trying to suppress my shaking voice. Well, it's because it was fun being with you the last time. So I wanted to ask you out today as a way to, show my thanks. I see. I appreciate your sentiment. I'm glad you brought me here. After all, I doubt we'll be able to go out very often now that... That's not true! I forced my words out. He tried to distance me with his words, so I stopped him from finishing his thought. I mustered the strength to stand and talk to him. Sure, things won't be the same as before, but we can still be together. We're here dating, aren't we? I'm happy that I was able to spend my day with you, Mr. Rindo. And we can go out on dates whenever we want, as long as you're alive. So, it doesn't matter whether you're a human or a non-human, Mr. Rindo. I wanted to say that boldly, but I don't have the courage to. My voice begins to weaken. After all, I was the one who turned Mr. Rindo into a non-human. I don't have the right to tell him anything. I bite my lip deeply amid the sparkling park lights. I know. I don't have the right to tell you that being a non-human doesn't matter when I'm the one that did this to you. But I can't think of anything I could say that could cheer you up. Don't cry. I'm not the one who should be crying here, it's Mr. Rindo. But I can't contain myself. My voice slowly blends with my sniffling. I didn't ask to become a non-human! I didn't ask to become a non-human. His voice resonates within my ears. My memory finally deals the final blow to my emotions. I'm so sorry, Mr. Rindo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fall to my knees pathetically as tears roll down my cheeks. Kotone. I'm the one who transformed you into what you are now. I was greedy and I wanted you to live, no matter the cost. But, Mr. Rindo, I didn't want to turn you into a non-human. Ah, I see now. You overheard me talking with Canis yesterday, didn't you? Which is why you asked me out so suddenly. I nod in reply, to which Mr. Rindo crouches down and gently places his hand on my cheek. Say, Kotone, what do you think makes humans and non-humans different? Huh? His eyes are calm. Mr. Rindo looks at me with his usual caring eyes. Liza said that there isn't much different between humans and non-humans. I recall Miser saying that to me before too. I don't really think the difference between humans and non-humans are so numerous. First of all, it's not like nature decided to determine who was a human and who was a non-human. Miser's words come to mind, but even so, Mr. Rindo is in front of me as a non-human. He is the one who is going through all the suffering now. Which is all the more reason why I can't agree with what Miser said. Even if I believe that to be true, the difference brings pain and agony to Mr. Rindo. I shook my head when I heard that from Miser. Appearance, lifespan, everything is different. But now that I'm like this, I see what he meant. I truly believe that there isn't much of a difference between humans and non-humans now. Suddenly, the warmth of his lips are gently kissing me on the cheek. A kiss filled with kindness, like the kind given to a young child. My motivations are the same as before. I don't want you to cry. I just want you to be happy. Then again, I guess I'm not really sure what is considered being normal or happy. Regardless, I can still kiss you like this, and tell you my thoughts and feelings. Sure, there are some inconveniences now, but it's not like I can't do anything. So, well, if you don't mind how I am now, I'd like it if you asked me out again. Mr. Rindo holds my hand and slowly pulls me back up. Mr. Rindo looks at me with his usual kind eyes that I like. My tears begin to flow again, seeing that he hasn't changed at all on the inside. Mr. Rindo? You're going to forgive me for what I did to you? There's nothing for me to forgive. I thought I already said that. I wouldn't have been able to see you again if you had not saved me. Is what he's telling me true? I feel like Mr. Rindo is going to leave me as soon as I stop feeling guilty. I grab tightly onto his hand. I need something. Anything that will keep him here. Something that would shackle him to me without him knowing. If I ever look away, even for a moment, he may disappear. Even if it's greed, what can I do to keep him with me? Like I said, you need to really get up close and personal with him, or else he's just keeps getting, or else he'll just keep getting away. A baby trap him, no. Miser's words crosses my mind. Mr. Rindo? Will you be my boyfriend? I decided to get really up close and personal. What? Where did that come from? Well, I'm not sure where that came from either, to be honest. But it must have caught him off guard, as he looks absolutely flustered now. Mr. Rindo lets out a cough, then speaks to me as if he's still trying to process his thoughts. Kotone, you don't have to hold yourself responsible for turning me into a non-human. I'm not saying that because I'm obligated to. Mr. Rindo looks a bit troubled hearing my words. It's as if he's trying to figure out a way to keep his distance from me. He's always like that. He never lets others get close to him despite being kind to everyone. I bet his request for me to ask him out on a date again was just so that he can ease my guilt. And he's probably trying to put distance between us to let me enjoy a normal and happy life. Which is even more the reason why I'm holding onto Mr. Rindo's hand tighter than before. It was embarrassing at first. He asked if we could be friends. He does his best for people. And sacrifices himself for others. He has a unique personality. He's an excellent cook. And he makes my heart flutter. But I turned him into a non-human. I adore every moment I spend with him. I want to be with him. Which is why I love you, Mr. Rindo. My words make sense to me. My feelings are honest and true. He's so kind. Yet, he's so lonely. I love you. Doesn't matter if you're a human or not. I love you because of who you are, Mr. Rindo. Mr. Rindo's body shivers and he looks away from me. Even so, I can't make you happy. I could bring harm to you without my knowing. The amount of time we may share together will be entirely different now. Who knows what else could happen with this body of mine? His words try to distance us. I don't want to hear it anymore. So... Oh, smooch! The smooch! She went for it! I cover his mouth. I cover his mouth with my lips. A forced and unsightly kiss. A kiss without a hint of romance. What are you talking about? That's full of romance. Even so, this kiss is all I could muster and give to him now. I will love him no matter where he is. I will love him no matter what he I I will love him, even if he isn't a human. My love will never change. I know it's awkward, but my kiss is to help bind him to me. A kiss to my beloved. As my lips let go, I notice both of us blushing red. Oh, he's blushing. Silence overtakes the moment. But then I decide to break the silence. Mr. Rindo, you mentioned that our time we have to spend together has changed. But that doesn't sound all that bad to me. Huh? I mean, think about it. Our ages are pretty different. Which means that we could spend our time together that much longer now. Not like we know how long we're gonna live for. There's always a chance for either of us to live long lives, or either of us to die young. All I ask is that you don't try to put distance between us over something we don't know. Mind you, I am the owner of Enchante, you know. My normal isn't normal anymore. I think I'm holding back my tears. I hope he can see my smile. He hesitantly and gently embraces me in his arms. Even though he's a non-human now, I can still hear his heartbeat. It's so soothing and warm. My tears flow out, blurring my vision. We take our time as we return back to Enchante. Stepping inside, I expected to be swarmed by the patrons asking every question they can think of, but... Huh. Only you, Il? To my surprise, Il is the only one inside Enchante. Welcome home. Back already. Well, we didn't want to stay out for too long. So where is everyone? Investigating? Il simply shakes his head in response to Mr. Rindo's query. No. Our investigations were done around 2 o'clock, so everyone's back already. So, where is everyone? Kaoru went home, but Miser and Canis dragged Ignis out to go buy a celebratory cake. Cake? Oh, whoops. I guess Miser and the gang already know what happened. Huh? What? Wait. If that's true, this is so embarrassing. Why are they buying cake for that? Out of nowhere, the door suddenly slams open. They're back. I turn around, not knowing how I should greet them, but... Shit! We got a problem! Uh-oh. No cake? Huh? Ignis and the others all ran inside with tension on their face. What kind of problem? Search Shinjuku. Oh, in his phone. Il senses the urgency and immediately types the words into his tablet. He adds GPM to the search. Oh, Il and his powerful Google powers. The fact that the GPM is working in relation to non-humans isn't known. Miser once said before that things are best hidden in plain sight. So the headquarters itself is made public under the name of a certain corporation. Then suddenly... What? Huh? We all look into the tablet to find... Oh. An eerie shadow of a tower. Why is there red goo everywhere? A reddish-black shadow has covered the GPM headquarters. I wouldn't really call it a shadow. That's literally goo. A towering building in Shinjuku has suddenly been coated in a reddish-black. The news immediately spreads through the internet and is now on the front page of every news site. Seeing what happened, we jump in Mr. Rindo's car and head towards the GPM headquarters. Miser and the rest left before us so that they can act as a reconnaissance for us. We notified Karya via social network to stay home. My tablet's in there. Can you check the GPM shared folder? Oh, okay. Following Mr. Rindo's orders, I quickly grab the tablet and set it on my lap. Mr. Rindo gives me instructions and the password to access the shared database. But... it says we can't contact those inside, and their whereabouts are unknown. The GPM branches within the area sent their crew, but they can't get in. What about social media or the news channels? Do they have any updates? Let me see. I open the social media platform and search for the various keywords as it's GPM and Shinjuku. There are some saying it's just a prank or some kind of art piece. Just a prank, bro. Just a prank. What? That's a big prank. If only that was just a prank. There are differing opinions, but with the police quarantine around the area, some think something big is happening. There's some posts saying that they saw people touch the shadow and immediately collapse. I guess with the quarantine, there aren't many reports about it now. No matter how much I search, I can't find anything on what happened. Seems like the building simply turned into that towering reddish-black tower in an instant. I checked the pictures on the news sites. The building is covered in a thick shadow. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. What is that shadow? Rindo knows. I saw that before. Of course, it wasn't that large when I saw it. Huh? Well, wait, you mean... Yeah, that's my sister, Shizuku Rindo's doing. Just as the internet rumors had it, police have closed off the area to the GPM. The police questioned us, but Mr. Rindo's status as the GPM allowed us to get through. Miser and Il come down from the sky just as we park and get out of the car in front of the GPM. Miser! Il! Yeah, it's quite something looking at this place from the sky. This shadow must be powerful. I couldn't sense anything beyond what the shadow covers. The shadow around the building is denser than the general area, too. I hate to admit it, but it seems like this shadow is slowly spreading. Even though it's not spreading quickly, there's no telling how far it'll actually spread. This isn't good. We have to do something. Mr. Rindo looks up at the GPM headquarters when... Hey, we're all here, eh?
What matters now is how we plan our next move.
We have the Enchante regulars here with Ignis and Canis now joining us. You know, it's not weird to assume Rindo's baby sis is in there somewhere. If so, this is gonna be a piece of cake. We nab her, then stop her. I can only hope it'd be that simple. How do you stop her? You can't touch her. She curses everything. Won't know till we try, eh? Ignis spins his arm around and steps forward. He steps into the shadow, but... Whoa! The moment he steps in, he immediately jumps back out. What the hell? Felt my strength disappear the moment I stepped in. I'm guessing the shadow must have absorbed some of your life force. It's almost like what got me. Hey! Why the hell didn't you tell us earlier? That's some important intel, you know. Oh well. Sorry. I thought you could handle it with all the life force you got there. You were gonna just sacrifice him. You sure didn't last long. That was a futile attempt. Hey, knock that "he didn't help" look off your face.
It seems as though it has the same effect on me as well.
What the? Canis! Stop touching it so casually! You're making me look bad. You just like poke. Oh. Ow, my life force. Ignis goes on his rant against everyone. We all look at each other again. So, any after effects, you two? Nothing at all. Doesn't seem to do anything as long as you're not in contact with it.
I concur. I do know that it holds enough power to potentially put our lives at risk. Which also means that if a human were to touch it...
We'd have another situation like Rindo's. Yes, Kotone, don't touch it. Probably should just send her home. When Mr. Rindo was found, the only solutions were to defeat the source or to turn it into a non-human. Which means that those who are already affected can only be saved if we defeat Shizuku. I look up at the reddish-black building. But none of you are able to last while in contact with the shadow, then how will we get in? If we simply needed the place destroyed, then it'd be as simple as me unleashing my power. Then again, considering those who may still be alive and those in the area, it's probably not a good call. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if it took all of your power to level this place.
Well, how about we take a haul? It is not impossible if we put all our best efforts towards it.
That won't work. Whoever it is did a good job of having the shadow cover the whole building, including the ground. Damn it. It's like some impenetrable fortress. Everyone falls silent as we try to put our minds together to find a way in. Who it is? I can only guess. How wonderful to see the Enchante crew all together like this! Suddenly, I hear Mikado's voice echoing throughout the area.
That voice! Mikado!
Everyone immediately puts their guard up hearing the voice. But Mikado's nowhere around. Mikado! Damn it, where are you? I'm inside the building. I'm relaying my voice using Shizuku's shadow right now. Okay, I thought you were using, like, a speaker or something. Now then, I'd love to chat. but I have things to do with Shizuku. Can you all please stay put? Mr. Rindo takes a step forward, hearing Mr. Mikado's calm voice. Mikado. Rindo, I'm so happy you're here. Kotone must have saved your life. Mikado, what are you planning to do with Shizuku? You caused all this and turned me into who I am now. What are you trying to accomplish? Silence prevails. Soon enough, a very calm voice resonates through the now tainted area. Good question. Let me invite Rindo and Kotone here so that we can chat a bit. Just us two? Yes, I'd like the others to stay where they are. It's a pain if they start intervening without my consent. Parted the Red Sea of goo. With Mikado's voice, a piece of the shadow disappears as if to signal us inside. I promise I won't hurt them. They are my good friends after all. Shut it! Like we'd believe a word from you. Indeed. This must be a trap. Everyone seems to be against this. Mr. Rindo suddenly looks up and speaks as if he can see Mr. Mikado. Mikado, can't it just be me? Mr. Rindo! He isn't going to go there alone, is he? I want to tell him no, but Mr. Mikado stops me from saying anything. Unfortunately, no, Rindo. I want to talk to her as someone who's also had a loved one turned into a non-human. Now that I think about it, our situations are similar. Mikado also said that he didn't want to lose his friend. I recall my meeting back at the park and make up my mind. I'll go with you. Kotone. If we don't do something, the shadow thing is just gonna keep spreading. You're Mikado's friend, right? If so, I think we can trust Mikado.
Kotone.
Promise me that you won't do anything brash. I promise. Good. Rindo, take care of her. Yeah, leave it to me. I smile at everyone looking at me as Mr. Rindo takes my hand. We slowly head into the opening the shadow made, our hands tightly holding one another's. There's no one in sight in the GPM. They'll just goo. We slowly follow the path made by the shadow through the reddish-black painted interior. I don't see anyone. Neither do I. It'd be great if no one was here when this happened. Today's a weekday, and even during the night, I'm sure a lot of people were still working here. Mr. Rindo must know that. We carry on our way with a stern look on our faces, eyes open for any survivors. I'm on the roof! Shizuku is here with me! We stop in our steps hearing Mikado's voice. Unfortunately, the elevator is shut down at the moment. Can you use the emergency stairs instead? We look at each other and nod and walk towards the door. Oh, but it takes long using the stairs to get here, right? Why don't I tell you a story while I wait? A story about the truth behind Shizuku's transformation that Rindo doesn't know. Alright, is it story time now? Guessing this is Mikado's perspective. Honestly, I'm not interested in going up the corporate ladder, but it does give me the freedom to continue my experiments. Which is why I accepted the promotion, so that I can accelerate my research to turn Shizuku back to a human. Little did I know that the department I was reassigned to was hell on earth. The GPM number 2 R&D department. The first thing I saw after coming here was a non-human on a rampage inside of a cell. Ooh, we've seen something like that before. Non-human. I'll just change my voice for that. Doesn't sound like it lasted for a long time. So I'm guessing Mikado wasn't involved. I guess he wasn't involved in the last route because like he wasn't promoted. But something shady is going on in the GPM that probably affected the last route. GPM number 2 R&D head. Welcome to number 2 R&D, Akira Mikado. Sir, that non-human is... Ah, him. It's a type 3 non-human. He's agreed to help us with our experiment. Agreed? Wait, what? Agreed? Exactly, my words. That's not a word I associate with uncommunicable type 2 non-humans. His words sound awkwardly vague, so I decide to probe a bit further. So, where did this non-human come from? I'm surprised it has a face, with prominent human properties. Aha! I knew I could count on you for noticing, as expected from the talent of number 1 R&D. This non-human used to be a human. That was easy. He said exactly what I suspected. It's a human that took our greatest inventions, the non-human transformer metaplasia. Non-human transformer metaplasia. A forbidden drug that stimulates humans to change into non-humans. Developed an absolute secret at the GPM. A non-human transformer? Why the surprised look? You personally hold on to a non-human with you at all times. He looks at me with cold eyes, to which I instinctively pull Ku close into my arms. We are here conducting research on how to evolve humans into non-humans. Evolve non-human, words. Evolve into non-humans? But why? This is something we must conduct for the sake of mankind's survival. Or mankind's future, rather. I need to drink some water. I wish they gave him, like, a face. I feel like he's probably supposed to be the big bad here, but they didn't give him a face. As you know, almost all non-humans possess bodies that are stronger than humans. Imagine the value of bringing non-human traits to humans without any after effects or deficiencies. You mean, only their strengths? For example, take their life force. Can you imagine how many diseases could be negated by their traits? Non-humans possess the powers to potentially cure ailments that are otherwise considered terminal. And that's not all. If specific parts of the body can be transformed, a human could help in future disasters. But there are a lot of ignorant protesters out there who fight for non-human rights. This led to dire results. Because of them, our department dedicated to the future of humankind was turned into the enemy. Number 2 R&D department, a section of the GPM whose existence was kept hidden from regular members. They perform various experiments and research that violates laws and morals. How is this allowed? No wonder. That would explain the disclaimer when I signed their promotion to keep all matters secret. I see. Quite a department indeed. Yes, and thus the low head count. We've been looking for someone who would understand and join our mission. Very glad our deputy commissioner recommended you to us. So he's the one who recommended me to be reassigned here. I'm not sure whether or not I should be happy hearing that. So, the non-humans... Excuse me. The former humans here. Where did they come from? You'll know soon enough. Most of them really didn't have a choice, or they deserved their transformation. Either using like prisoners or something. I see. Like you said earlier, that means the non-humans here were terminally ill. Okay, or that too. You didn't give them a choice though, did you? What if they didn't want to, like, be turned into that? Or are criminals? The GPM is a government institution. Sourcing from hospitals and prisons is easy. I suppose they used undisclosable means. Unfortunately, despite our efforts, we have yet to create a non-human that retains their sanity and intelligence. Every one of them lost their sanity and went mad to the point where simple communication was impossible. Akira Mikado, you'll support our efforts, yes? After all, you already have someone with you who has already turned into a non-human. I don't have much of an argument against any of that. I'm a mad scientist who conducts strange experiments with a non-human Q, always at my side. That is how the GPM big bosses perceive me. To be honest, when I first heard the explanation, I was happy I no longer had to work in secrecy for Shizuku's cure. Even if the experiments were immoral, I didn't care so long as it could lead to Shizuku's return. Which is why I was seen as the perfect candidate to work in the number 2 R&D department. But I found it. I found a top secret file immediately after joining the group. After listening to the boss's explanation, he took me on a tour around the area before leading me to their library where they kept their data. Well, despite all that self-praising, the facility itself isn't too different from the place we work. Ku? I hold my breath as soon as I began talking to Ku. I noticed her eyes were shining. They looked like the eyes of a beast ready to hunt its prey. She didn't react much besides when it was time to dine, but... Ku? I look in the direction she was looking at to see a shelf of documents. I slowly head towards the shelf when I notice that Ku starts to twitch a little. There's something here? I grabbed the file she was staring at. The file was labeled non-human sample records. Is this? Is this a file that has all the records of those who were turned into non-humans? If so, It may offer a hint on how I can make her human again. I hurriedly look inside the file. Case number 56. Subject GPM Finance G. Selected due to legal infractions. See video file 11021-2056. Subject is a failure. Exterminated by Intelligence Division. Case number 88. Subject Civilian B. Took a Type 3 into custody and was injured. See video file 1109230088. Subject is a failure. Rampage with the Type 3. Exterminated with drug dosage. Case number 92. Subject R&DR. Tried to expose number 2's inhuman practices. See video file 1208230092. Currently under Akira Mikado's care, under strict surveillance. No particular results yet. What? Under surveillance? Wait. I toss the file to the side and run to a nearby computer. Video 1208230092. Where? Where is it? I quickly search the files and find the video file. Video 1208230092. I play the video. It shows Shizuku captured and injected with a drug that slowly and painfully changed her into a non-human. This can't be! Lies! 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 Shizuku was in a cell. Shizuku cried her name out loud. She broke out of her cell and devoured a researcher whole. Her suffering captured in that video replays in my head. I thought Shizuku's failed experiment was what led her into turning into a non-human. But I was wrong. Case number 092, subject R&DR. Tried to expose number 2's inhuman practices. So, Shizuku was turned into a non-human so she wouldn't expose their experiments? She wasn't the perpetrator at all. She was a victim. Ah! It's hard to scream with Mikado's voice. A burning rage fills my heart. Shizuku was taken from me. And not because of fate or an accident. She was taken from me because of a pure and simple evil. Ah! Humans turned an innocent human into a non-human. Human? They weren't human. Humans are much worse than the non-humans. Alright, Kotone's perspective, we're at the... I'm guessing this is the top of the tower? Alright, Mikado went mad. Mr. Mikado finishes his cruel and hopeless story. We're shocked. We frown hearing it. With the story fresh in our minds, we arrive at the top of the building. I'm glad you're both here. I'm sorry I couldn't clean this place up. The winds swirl amid the towering buildings. There stood Mikado, exhausted and ready to fall. Also... Oh. Shizuku. There's a peculiar non-human that looks like some kind of solidified black liquid. Oh, she is. Is that Shizuku? Yeah, that's her. Mr. Mikado's doll, whose true form is in front of us. Mikado's lover transformed, all because of the number 2 R&D department. Mr. Rindo's younger sister. But her form is so peculiar that it's hard to imagine she was once a human. Her face and her form showed no signs of intelligence or emotion. Rindo, I'm honestly relieved seeing you retain your sanity as a non-human. I really wanted to save you, but I was scared that you may end up like the other subjects. Did he have like any reason to believe that like Rindo would? It seems like all the other experiments led to failure. Or was he just banking? Was he just like hoping for a miracle? Or maybe Rindo would just destroy everything too. I couldn't control the anxiety it gave me. Oh. That's right. You mentioned that all the subjects failed and went on a rampage, including Shizuku. Mikado nods to me as if he knew what was on my mind. The subject's body and brain are literally transformed during the process of turning into a non-human. Which means that their sanity is wiped, which in turn allows our primal emotion to take precedence. That means strong emotions such as hatred, anger, apathy, and despair are prioritized, right? Wait, so that's why Shizuku and the subjects went on a rampage? That's probably like the last thing they were feeling as they were getting transformed and like practically dying. Correct! Rindo maintaining a semblance of his human form and his sanity means his sense of hope for survival was stronger than his fear of death. Mikado shows an expression of joy and sorrow. Moreover, I believe you're the reason why he's still alive. He let out an eerie smile. It's just a hunch. I understand my assumption lacks cognitive reasoning. Then again, I did my best to suppress the side effects of the drug. The metaplasia was modified with Shizuku's blood, so that must have also played a role among others. Mikado's haughtiness and attitude as a researcher has disappeared. Instead, he looks like a completely different person as he gazes at Shizuku. I must say, if that's your non-human form, then you siblings have shown quite a difference. Say what you want. I'm here at the expense of my human form. Oh. You're fighting words now. I'll stop you no matter what. The jacket is off. The air stands still and fills with tension. Feels like the place will devolve into chaos with a slight move. Mikado smiles. Heh! Stop me no matter what, eh? Are you sure about that? Listen to this. What if there was a way to change you and Shizuku back into humans again? What? Huh? As if he expected our reactions, Mikado spreads his arms and gleefully begins to speak. Shizuku is regaining her sanity, slowly each time she absorbs someone's life force. Oh, Mikado! She's actually in the process of turning back into a human again. Isn't that right, Shizuku? He's lost it. He lost the marbles. Ki. Ra. Did you hear that? She's not the Ku you remember. That didn't respond at all. Shizuku has regained a portion of herself to the extent that she calls my name. Mikado looks overjoyed by his announcement. Horror, sorrow, suffering. Various emotions are flowing within me, making me sick. Mikado, you're... Like I said, Rindo's non-human form is the result of taking the medicine that I modified with Shizuku's blood. So, Rindo and Shizuku are the same. There's a good chance they could be human again by absorbing the life force from others. Will you deny and stop us after hearing what I've told you? Mikado, why you? Mr. Rindo repositions himself. He must have taken it negatively. Mikado looks sad and in pain, but... Why won't you listen, Rindo? Shizuku can be human again! And by using this horrid organization who killed her to boot! She was kind and brutally honest, very straightforward and loved sweets. We can bring her back to who she was when we talk about our future. The GPM killed her! His hatred explodes. The shadow flowing from Shizuku's body begins to intensify, as if she's responding to his hatred. Why are you trying to stop me and Shizuku? They were the ones who killed her. They deserve what's coming to them. Mr. Rindo bites down on his lips as though he's enduring a sharp pain from every word he hears. I can't begin to fathom what kind of visceral emotions they must be experiencing. But... Mikado! But I know them. He loves Shizuku. His voice was filled with kindness each time he spoke about her. Even if Shizuku can return back to her human form, how many more innocent lives do you need to make that happen? Your shadow continues to spread. It's enough proof that the people inside the GPM weren't enough to satisfy her. Even if she came back to you as a human, Shizuku wouldn't like what... Say no more. I know what you're implying. I understand that her kindness will convince her that the means of her revival are not justified. Even so, I want her back. Just call it blind love. The reddish-black shadow overflows the rooftop as it slowly increases. I'll carry the sins with her. If Shizuku is going to suffer and regret what happened, I'll support her to the end. Mikado, are you serious? Kotone, you understand what I'm saying, right? You wanted Rindo to live, even if it meant that would forever weigh on your conscience. Please! Please help us! Help us! Help yourself and Rindo! We can all return to happiness as normal humans. Together. His words are sweet and highly intoxicating. My response is... part of me wants to, like, just watch the world just get destroyed. Maybe not the world. Maybe thinking a little bit like Dromy here. Part of me wants to destroy the GPM, but... no, say we won't help. I won't. Returning Mr. Rindo back into a human. We could go back to being happy together like it used to be. I want him to be able to stand in daylight without fear. I want to walk around the theme park, lovingly holding his hand. Yeah, but who pays the price for that? I want to enjoy a wonderful meal in a gourmet bistro and stare into his eyes. Everything can be brought back. The offer is too sweet to refuse. But... sorry, but I'm going to have to pass on that offer, Mikado. It was Mr. Rindo who turns his head away from the sweet allure. Mr. Rindo is smiling. The smile on his face is no different from before, even in his non-human form. I'd love to turn back into a human again if possible, but ultimately, I can't accept your offer. May I ask, why? Shizuku isn't going to be happy if she turns back when she learns the number of deaths her revival cost. Mind you, it's not absolute that humans and non-humans can't get along and attain happiness. I can say the exact opposite of what you said. In fact, your concept is much less likely to happen. What you're saying isn't new. Sure, it's not new and it's what normal people say, but I'm not going to subject myself of fearing the unknown. All I ask is you don't try to put distance between us over something we don't know. Mind you, I am the owner of Enchante, you know. My normal isn't normal anymore. Oh. Is this a new song? I don't remember this song. Don't underestimate what we call normal. Mr. Rindo! How foolish! You must know that we won't bite. Mikado raises his arm, to which Shizuku extends her shadow into a claw. Oh, Mr. Rindo uses his own claws to deflect the incoming shadow. Mr. Rindo and Shizuku. Sparks fly with each attack. The siblings strike each other, then jump back to create space between them. Both have positioned themselves to protect the ones they love. Mr. Rindo covers me. Shizuku covers Mr. Mikado. There's no turning back at this point. It's begun! Unfortunately, we have no other option but to fight! But I have the option of stopping you two. I'll do it as your friend and her brother. Mr. Rindo repositions himself so that his non-human left side is facing towards them. Kaoru. A whisper. Shizuku's lowers her head down as if bowing. Suddenly, the shadow morphs into multiple hands flying towards us. Humph! Mr. Rindo is cutting them apart so fast that I can only catch small glimpses of his moves. He's moving beyond the speed of mortals. Mr. Rindo jumps into the air after Shizuku rises into the air, too fast for me to keep up with. The beast and Shadow's claws clash. A dull metallic sound resonates throughout the rooftop. Unbelievable. You really are a pain, aren't you? Maybe it's because they're siblings. Or maybe it's because they both hold the powers of non-humans. Their fight seems like they're communicating with each other. Mikado! I hear his voice amid the savage battle taking place in front of us. Calm down. No need to be so alarmed. We're both powerless at this point. The best we can do is cheer them on. Only one will survive, though. Will our persistence prevail? Or will your sense of hope win? Mr. Rindo won't lose! My knees feel like jelly, but I need to force myself to be strong. I need to maintain my confidence and keep my eyes on Mr. Mikado. He looks at me and smiles. Despite loving a non-human, what made us go separate ways? What makes the two of us different? A simple question. An honest question. Circumstances. As I contemplate how I can respond. The battle was evenly matched until Mr. Rindo is knocked back to where I am. Mr. Rindo! I hurry to his side and lift him up. He isn't gravely injured, but I can see the pain in his face from the blows he's taken. I get where you're coming from, but... Rindo, there's no way you can stop Shizuku. Shizuku is continually absorbing the life force of those caught in her shadow. She can fight for as long as she wants. You know well enough that it's impossible for you to stop her now. But... Mr. Mikado's words are proven by how Shizuku hasn't sustained a single wound throughout the battle. On the contrary, her black shadow is pulsating like waves on a shore, as if it's gaining more power. Rindo, just give it up already. Shizuku doesn't want to kill you. If you can't accept what we'll do, then just turn around and run. You still have that option. Coming from the bottom of his heart, Mr. Mikado's eyes flash a sense of sorrow and care. But... Ha! Have you finally lost it, Mikado? Do you really think I'd do that? Mr. Rindo gets back up to his feet and repositions himself. Shizuku simply raises her huge shadow-infused claw high above her head. Rindo! Kotone! Farewell! We won't survive this blow. The shadow comes straight down on us. Suddenly... An explosion appears in front of us from below, followed I'm guessing this... Is this Ignis? We're not alone. What? It is. Yeah, perfect. I told you I could do this, Canis.
I hardly doubt blowing away a fourth of the roof is considered perfect. Look for yourself. If luck was not on your side, you would have blown Kotone away.
Shut up, will ya? She's safe, all right. Canis! Ignis? Canis and Ignis jump out onto the roof. How did you two get up here? They didn't use the stairs, that's for sure. I thought Shizuku's shadow prevented the patrons from getting near here. Mikado and I are looking at them in astonishment, to which Ignis smiles and points his finger down. Yeah, we couldn't make it from the outside, but there was another way of getting here.
Indeed. We simply came here from the other world.
Oh. They used the wormhole. But wouldn't they have to, like, climb the goopy, like, stairs in the building, or was that just conveniently cleared? Wait! Bestia's gate? Yeah, we came here to stop you while Miser and Il are taking care of the shadow outside. Ignis points upward. I look up and see two far up in the sky. Maybe it's just me, but it looks like those two are, waving at me?
It goes against my mantra of fighting fairly, but I will make an exception for this emergency.
Akira. Oh, don't worry. It's still fair since Shizuku is absorbing the life force of others. Which means that the battle isn't over yet. Answering Mr. Mikado's call, Shizuku roars and causes the air around us to vibrate.
Still not over.
What a pain! Rindo, move aside, I'm gonna... My vision goes completely black. It was so sudden that I couldn't react at all. The shadow that was surrounding us has now turned into separate individual shadows that rushes each of us. Before we knew it, we've been captured. The shadow felt weird. Felt like I was sinking in a blend of water and mud! Oh no, they got Kotone stuck. Wait, is she gonna get hexed? I could breathe fine, but every bit of strength in me started to leave my body. It also seems to have affected the others. Everyone lost their mobility. I wanted to talk a bit longer, but now that they've joined us, I don't have much time. I need to face our dear Demon King and Fallen Angel. I'll put your powers to good use. I hear Mikado's voice in the distance as my vision fades. Oh no! Shizuku must be consuming us right now. Or maybe... She's embracing us in sympathy in an attempt to console us. Not that I can tell. My vision goes completely black. The sounds all begin to fade away. A shrill shriek awakens my conscience. I fall to the floor and look back to see Shizuku falling back with black liquid gushing out of her. I then see Mr. Rindo and his claw covered with the same black liquid. Is he immune? You're moving! But you came in contact with Shizuku's shadow! Why, Rindo? Mikado, you know the answer better than anyone. I see Canis and Ignis on the floor, unable to move and likely with no power left within them. But Mr. Rindo stands in front to protect everyone. Shizuku's blood! So the transformation made you resistant to Shizuku's shadow! Mr. Rindo turns to face Shizuku, who is teetering from her wound. I'll end this. Mikado warps his face in disgust, hearing his decision. Why? Why? Why aren't you giving up, Rindo? This is for Shizuku! We both want her back! So why? Why aren't you giving up? Mr. Rindo moves in one step at a time as Mikado continues screaming. I won't give up. I will never give up. There are two good people here who are making bad choices in the worst way possible. One of them is beautiful, but kept her distance from others, while clinging onto those she loved. The other's an absolute genius, who has his own quirks, but is good at heart. Both of them are precious to me, and there's no way I can lose either of them. I want to spend a normal life filled with laughter, with my little sister and my friend. And you're telling me to give up? The ground crumbles from a shout. His voice brings her to him. Protect Akira. Shizuku! The siblings are no longer human. They look at each other in silence. Shizuku, let's finish this. Such a calm voice. A voice that calls for the end. They put all their might into their blows. Oh, got a CG. Countless shadows. Shadows of all shapes and sizes form and attack Mr. Rindo. Oh, the siblings are killing each other! They strike his legs, arms, and body. They cut, slice, and pierce with each hit. But Mr. Rindo strikes back and carves away at Shizuku's shadow-infused tentacles. Their battle can't be stopped. They continue striking each other. The tentacles continue to grow out endlessly, but the end had to be near. thunderous roar. Mr. Rindo pierces Shizuku's body. A blow that would kill any mortal in an instant. Shizuku's body begins to twitch violently, and then she slowly crumbles to the floor. It's obvious that the wound inflicted is critical, even to non-humans. There's no doubt who won. Mr. Rindo drags himself up. He slowly walks towards Shizuku and looks down at her. Again. Right where we left off 7 years ago. Sorrow. Mr. Rindo's expression can only be described with that one word. He steps away from striking range. Or he's a step away from striking range. A step away from the end. But before he can make that step, a silhouette quickly moved and stood in front of her. He spreads his arms out in defense. Oh, wait! Rindo! Mikado. You won! And we lost! We'll give up! We'll atone for what we've done! So... I know I'm asking the world, but please, please don't kill Shizuku! He falls to the ground and grovels, asking for forgiveness. Mikado pleads at the top of his voice. But... I can't do that, Mikado. Kotone is inflicted with the same hex I was inflicted with from the shadow. You know, there's only one way of lifting the hex. You two are precious and invaluable to me, but I'm no different from you, Mikado. There's someone I need to protect with my life. Mr. Rindo slowly extends his arm to Shizuku, just before his claw touches her twitching body. Ah! Shizuku roars. Surprised that she can still move, Mr. Rindo makes his move to decapitate her head when... Shizuku! It's okay, Shizuku! It's over! Mr. Rindo halts, seeing Mr. Mikado embrace Shizuku. Then, without warning... A dull sound resonates through the area. Shizuku's claw pierces Mr. Mikado's body! Mikado! He lunges forward to help his friend. But Mikado simply smiles and raises his hand. It's fine. Shizuku! She can't do anything now. And just like that, Shizuku's body slowly starts to limp and crumble away. It's as if her body was falling apart like loose sand. Mikado looks at the wound on his abdomen and snickers before falling to his knees. Mikado! Heh! Why the long face? You don't have to kill me yourself now! Ha! I take that back. I don't want you to kill your friend. Blood spills out of his body. Mikado smiles. It's okay. My body was on its way out anyway. Shizuku's experiments required samples. I used my body for the experiments. Most of my insides don't function anymore. I even accelerated my own aging process. So, regardless of what happened, My days were numbered. So, it's okay. Mr. Mikado slowly crumbles. He falls into what remains of Shizuku. I was bound by my own weaknesses to turn Shizuku back into a human. Blood spills out of his mouth. I always knew that she needed to be human for us to be happy again. He musters what little strength he has left to take something out of his pocket. If I wanted to be with her, there was another way of doing that. A way that wouldn't cause problems for others. In Mikado's hand is something I'm very familiar with. It's the medicine I gave to Mr. Rindo. Shizuku? Shizuku? Can you hear me? Mikado gently speaks. He calls his lover's name as she slowly crumbles away. He talks to her as if he was admitting his love to an inanimate object. If I can't make you human again, then I'll just follow you. I should have done it much earlier. I could have saved you from your suffering. And with that, Mr. Mikado swallows the metaplasia. But he won't change to a non-human now that he's on the verge of death. Mikado must have swallowed the medicine to show his fate was in his own hands. Even if it was to gain peace of mind. Now, we'll be together forever. Shizuku. Mikado lets out a warm and gentle smile before taking his final breath. A whisper can be heard. Together. Mr. Rindo watches the life leave their bodies. They were in love with each other. The end of a human and a non-human. They lived lives that we ourselves could have lived. A sad and tragic fate that could have fallen upon us. That's it? That's the end? Oh my god! They killed Mikado! Wait! Do we have like... What? That was so sad! I don't think they even killed... Like... Okay. So I do kind of see a trend where there's like a traitor in each of the routes. They didn't kill off Venia. They didn't kill off Dromi. Dromi was just like in jail. But they killed off Mikado and like the saddest plot ever. It's like practically lover suicide. It was like full of despair because he had like no choice to like save Shizuku. So he just decided to go down with her and just take out as many people as he could along the way. Oh my god, that was sad. I like this route though. It gave a lot of different feelings. A lot of other different feelings of the other routes. Alright. end. There has to be something after the credits. What is Rindo gonna feel? His sister's dead, his friend's dead. Alright, Kotone's perspective. This doesn't feel very happy. The sky above Enchante is clear and blue. I'm pouring coffee as I hum my favorite tune. Finally, things are starting to settle down. I'm used to seeing the GPM clean up after some mess we create, but I would have never thought I'd see the day when we're the ones cleaning up after the GPM. I must say, I'm not tired, but spending most of this month flying all over has taken me away from my Otome game. Which was the best thing that could have happened to you. May as well quit your games for good.
I say let him be. After all, Miser and Elle should be credited for what they did. With that said, was the residual mess from the hex cleaned and removed from the area?
Absolutely! To be honest, whatever was left was weak enough that it wouldn't have faded away itself. Q! We haven't heard Kaoru in a while. Even though I kept messing up. I kept calling Q. I was like, Kaoru. Kept messing with my mouth. Kaoru squeaking with a smile as the regulars carry on with their usual discussions. Miser turns around in a seat and looks towards me. Can I assume things have settled down for you too? Well, sort of. Good to hear, but... All of a sudden, Miser starts to look visibly depressed. Sorry about Rindo. Wait, what?
Indeed, an absolute tragedy.
I'm sure he didn't want to leave so early in his life. All I can do now is pray for his soul to rest in peace. Everyone closes their eyes in silence. Can you guys please stop treating me like I'm already dead? Mr. Rindo appears with a frown on his face and just like, wait. Did I pick all the right choices for the happy end? Back to bullying him. Unbelievable. Even you, Canis.
I apologize for that. So how are things going with you, Rindo?
I can't say I'm fully recovered or anything, but I guess everything is going fine. Honestly, life isn't as bad as I thought. Not to mention I have a cute owner by my side all day, every day. Mr. Rindo walks over to the counter and then stands right next to me. He gently holds my shoulder and pulls me towards him. Mr. Rindo! What a cute couple! Why, you're so cute that this Demon King might just burn Rindo to a crisp! Come now. As someone who lives for love, they look quite wonderful together. Heh, I don't give a damn how they look as long as the food is good.
Oh? Were you not the one who suggested buying them a celebratory gift?
Why you? Can't keep that mouth shut, can ya? Yeah, where's the cake you guys were supposed to buy? Mr. Rindo smiles, seeing the usual patrons go at it as he begins to help me with the chores. After the tragedy had ended, Mr. Rindo began helping with the chores here at Enchante. We just have like another worker. We're gonna run the cafe together. Mr. Mikado and Shizuku. Mr. Rindo lost those that were precious to him. Then a month passed. With the death of those two, and the help of Miser and the gang, the shadow that shrouded the GPM had vanished for good. Seemed like the Hex has completely disappeared without a trace of it left behind. Also, being that the GPM couldn't recover their operations immediately, Mr. Rindo, Miser, and the gang searched the building and infiltrated the number 2 R&D department. There, they located the research data and materials that caused the tragedy. They incinerated everything with no remorse. In doing so, we prevented the existence of the number 2 R&D department from ever being exposed to the public. This was the best chance we had at destroying any information that could potentially cause more tragedies. Unfortunately, those who were consumed by Shizuku went missing, and to this day have not been found. As for the survivors, those who had come in contact with the shadow and inflicted with the Hex were able to recover, albeit slowly. Many are unable to explain what had happened. I can only hope Mr. Rindo's younger sister and friend can now rest in peace. And so, the truth was twisted just a bit. Incident report. The Type 2 non-human coup lost control due to probing done by the researchers in number 2. As a result, the Type 2 attacked the members of the GPM. Suffering a fatal wound, Kaoru Rindo administered himself a prototype drug to turn into a non-human and save his life. Akira Mikado, who was in charge of the Type 2, assisted in stopping its rampage. Okay, they let him die a hero instead of the villain. Akira Mikado was able to stop the Type 2's rampage in exchange for his life, putting an end to the incident. Mr. Rindo reported this to the authorities as what happened at the GPM. As for Mr. Rindo, there is no way he can work at the GPM in his new form. So he took a leave of absence and is focusing on his recovery. On the topic of turning back into a human, it really depends on Miser and the gang, along with the findings of the numerous research organizations. So instead of worrying and thinking about plans for the future, he's here with me every day to help run Cafe Enchante. I think about all that's happened while attending to the customers. Before I know it, it's closing time. The regulars have returned to their usual places. Mr. Rindo and I are the only ones left. Mr. Rindo, you've gotten pretty good at cleaning up the place. I'm just using what I know from living alone. With that said, my arm isn't much help these days. Okay, enough of that look. I'm not saying it out of sarcasm, it's just the truth. Not sure if I believe you. You worry me all the time, you know. We casually chat with each other like this through the day until we come to an obvious discussion. Mr. Rindo, you haven't decided whether you're going back to the GPM or not, right? Well, yeah. I get calls from them every day asking me to come back, but I'm not sure it's a good idea for me to walk around in that building in this form. I see. Mr. Rindo, I know it's odd for me to ask, but I just hope you put yourself first and make the right call for your future, okay? Amen. Well, how about you hire me here full time? Oh, well, you would look pretty strapping. You'll be a strapping cafe owner. Oh. My very own Shizuku blend seems to be pretty popular. Heh. Mind you, your Mikado blend needs a bit more work. Mr. Rindo created original coffee blends named after the two. As long as I'm the owner of Enchante, and as long as Mr. Rindo's memories doesn't fade away, the two will live here forever. Oh, by the way, I think everyone mentioned it by now, but it's been about a month, right? Since what? Let out a bewildered look to his somewhat abrupt question. I've been thinking a lot about a certain someone for my future. I love you. Doesn't matter if you're a human or not. I love you because of who you are, Mr. Rindo. I didn't give you my reply back then because I wasn't sure how to respond to it, but now. No. Before I know it, I feel something warm on my lips. Mr. Rindo. After all that suffering and anxiety over our differences as humans and non-humans, he finally made the move. He kisses me passionately as if he needs me. He moves his lips away and gently smiles while I try to get my mind settled. Mind you, this is just something for all that you said to me back then. Not that this is redemption, but this is just my way of responding to all the heartfelt words you spoke at the time. His words and actions. I can feel them. I can feel my heart pounding. I'm still not sure what to expect with this body of mine. There may be times I feel helpless trying to navigate a future with you as a human, and me as a non-human. I may end up feeling a sense of regret when I think of how things would have been if I was still human. But his face isn't fully human anymore. Even so, Mr. Rindo lets out the most gentle and kind smile I've ever seen from him. Despite how strong my anxieties are, my love for you will always be stronger. That won't change, no matter what. Mr. Rindo! Mr. Rindo continues after hearing my shaking voice. There's no way I can guarantee you that I'll make you happy in my current state, but I mean, think about it. Our ages are pretty different, which means that we could spend our time together that much longer now. All I ask is that you don't try to put distance between us over something we don't know. Mind you, I am the owner of Enchante, you know. My normal isn't normal anymore. But I can promise you that I have faith in our future, and the joy it will bring us. Will you still hold my hand as you did before, even with how things are now? Unbelievable. Is that even a question? You should have done this a lot sooner. Oh, you look really angry. Sorry. Well, I was scared that you'd laugh and say no, so... I am a normal guy, you know. But now that I know how you feel, you wouldn't mind if I make another move again, would you? Oh. This time it's consensual. Or consensual? We kiss because we want to. I love you, Mr. Rindo. No matter what you do. No matter how you look. I love you because of who you are. My pure and true feelings for you. I kiss for you with all my heart. Oh, my heart. This is a good romance. Alright. Are we gonna get... There it is. Are we gonna get that static again? Yep, okay. Always punctuates it with this. Prologue 4.
How? Why? He and I were supposed to be equals. He was supposed to be with me. And still, why was he the only one who was saved? What was the difference between me and him?
Unis. That one? A new prologue is now unlocked. Alright. Oh, that's the end of Rindo's route. I liked it. I felt like a lot more romantic. Well, a lot more romantic, than maybe the other one. The other one was just like full of drama and you're just getting knocked back and forth. And I mean, you still love the characters. The story, let me pull up the operation guide so it doesn't throw me at the opening. But yeah, the story still makes you love the character though. They did a good job at making you love the character, even if it's not like a typical otome game romance. But yeah, Mr. Rindo felt more romantic, I say, than the other two. But it was just punctuated with that death at the end. I was like, why? Why does he have to kill off his friend and his sister? This made it so much sadder. Oh man. And yeah, I didn't think I would like Mr. Rindo as much as I liked the other two. Because I went with the expectation and was like, oh, he's just like the normal option. His gimmick is that he's old and like, yeah, we're just gonna get the older guy like ending. But no, they twisted it. They twisted it in a way where like it really sticks with you. Okay, so we're done with the Rindo's route. So we have one more prologue, I'm guessing? Or it counted down, it seemed to like count down to 1 at the end. So we have one more route to do. We have Ill's route, who I'm super curious about, because unlike the other characters, like we went to Medio, we went to Bestia, we went to the GPM during like the main chapters. And then, like, we got to know those places better when we did the, like, individual routes. But we, like, know nothing about Ill. Like, we have not gone to the Heavenly World. Like, are we going to go there when we do Ill's route? I don't know, but that's what we're gonna do next. So, yeah, next episode, we'll do the prologue for Ill. Obviously, just kind of we're gonna skip a lot as per usual, but we are gonna pick options that favor L, so we get to see like those little extra events in there. And then after that, we'll head into L's route. I am very eager to see more about him. Well, anyway, time to recover my emotions. I hope you guys had a fun time with this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.